Did you know that ancient wisdom holds secrets to controlling our emotions? In this video, we'll journey through 7 enchanting stories from distant lands and forgotten times, where great figures learned to master their hearts. The tale of the calm mountain monk, Patience. Long ago, in the mountains of a distant land, there lived a wise monk who had spent many years in quiet contemplation. Each morning he would sit on a rock overlooking the vast valley below, his mind focused on the stillness within. But this day was different. A great storm approached, dark clouds rolling over the mountains, winds howling through the trees, and rain beginning to pour down in torrents. The villagers below ran for cover, afraid of the storm's fury. But the monk remained seated, calm and serene, as if the chaos around him was no more than a gentle breeze. As the storm raged on, the monk's heart remained peaceful. He did not rush to shelter nor try to control the storm, for he knew that no storm, no matter how fierce, could last forever. Instead, he watched, patient and unmoved. Hours passed, and slowly the winds died down, the rain eased, and the clouds began to part, revealing the clear sky once again. The monk smiled softly. The storm, he whispered to himself, is much like our emotions. It rises quickly, fierce and overwhelming, but if we are patient, it too will pass. The monk's tale teaches us that patience is the first step in controlling our emotions. Just like the storm, our feelings of anger, frustration, or sadness can feel powerful and all-consuming. But if we practice patience, if we sit with our emotions and let them flow without reacting immediately, we will see that they pass. We cannot control the storm, but we can control our reaction to it. And in time, the skies will clear and peace will return. The legend of the brave Spartan, courage. In ancient Sparta, a young warrior named Theon stood on the battlefield, heart pounding as the enemy's army approached. The ground trembled beneath the feet of the soldiers, and the clash of armor filled the air. Fear gripped Theon's heart, fear of defeat, fear of injury, fear of the unknown. But Theon had been taught from a young age that courage was the greatest strength a Spartan could possess. Courage wasn't about being fearless. It was about acting in spite of fear. As the enemy drew closer, Theon remembered the words of his old mentor. Fear is like a fire in your chest. It can either consume you or forge you into something stronger, but to control it, you must first acknowledge it. Theon closed his eyes for a moment and took a deep breath. Instead of pushing away the fear, he allowed himself to feel it fully. With each breath, he felt the fire of fear settle, becoming something he could control, not something that controlled him. When he opened his eyes again, the enemy was almost upon him, but his heart had calmed. He was ready. Theon's courage didn't come from the absence of fear, but from accepting it and moving forward despite it. He fought bravely that day, and though the battle was fierce, he emerged victorious, not just over his enemy, but over his own fear. Courage is not about never feeling fear. It's about not letting fear stop you. When we acknowledge our fear instead of running from it, we can harness its energy. The next time you feel afraid, whether it's before an important conversation, a big decision, or a new challenge, take a moment to breathe deeply. Don't push the fear away. Instead, accept it and then choose to act. Courage is about taking that step forward, even when fear tries to hold you back. The wisdom of the Egyptian queen, Composure. In the ancient kingdom of Egypt, there once ruled a queen named Neferu. Her reign was one of peace and prosperity, but it was not without its challenges. Court politics in Egypt were as treacherous as the shifting sands of the desert. Jealous advisors and cunning nobles constantly sought to undermine her authority. One day, as Neferu sat on her throne, a trusted servant came to her, whispering of a plot to overthrow her rule. The queen's heart quickened. Anger flared within her. Anger at the betrayal. Anger at the deceit. She could feel the heat rising in her chest, threatening to overtake her calm demeanor. But Neferu had long studied the ways of the wise pharaohs before her, and she knew that in moments of betrayal, anger could cloud judgment. She closed her eyes and took a slow, deep breath. Her emotions swirled like the hot desert wind, but she did not allow them to control her. Composure, she reminded herself. The Nile flows calmly, even in the face of the storm. Opening her eyes, Neferu rose from her throne with grace and authority. Instead of lashing out, she calmly addressed her court, dismantling the plot with wisdom and dignity. Her composure had not only saved her reign, but had also earned her the respect and loyalty of her people. Neferu's story reminds us that in moments of high emotion, especially anger, composure is our greatest ally. When we are angry, it is easy to speak or act impulsively, often causing harm we later regret. But by practicing composure, we can control our emotions instead of letting them control us. The next time you feel anger rising, take a moment to breathe. Like Queen Neferu, remind yourself that calm brings clarity. With composure, you can handle any situation with grace. The myth of the Persian poet, perspective. In the heart of ancient Persia, there lived a poet named Rumi, known for his beautiful verses and deep wisdom. But despite his fame, Rumi often found himself plagued by feelings of sadness and loneliness. One evening, as the sun began to set, Rumi wandered the vast desert, his heart heavy with sorrow. As he walked, he watched the sun sink lower and lower, casting long shadows across the sands. Why must I feel this way, he thought. Why does the weight of my emotions feel so unbearable? As the final rays of the sun disappeared beneath the horizon, Rumi had a realization. Just as the sun sets each night only to rise again in the morning, so too do our emotions follow a cycle. They come and go, rise and fall. No feeling is permanent. In that moment, Rumi's perspective shifted. He understood that sadness, like the setting sun, was just one part of the journey. It didn't define him and it wouldn't last forever. With this newfound perspective, Rumi's heart felt lighter. He returned to his village, no longer burdened by his emotions, but accepting them as a natural part of life's ebb and flow. From that day forward, whenever sadness or frustration crept into his heart, he would remind himself, "This too shall pass." Rumi's story teaches us the power of perspective. Often, when we are overwhelmed by emotion, it can feel as though that feeling will last forever. But if we shift our perspective, we see that emotions like the sun rise and fall. They are temporary, and we can find peace in knowing they will pass. The next time you feel overwhelmed by emotion, take a moment to remind yourself of Rumi's wisdom. Change your perspective, and you'll find that the weight of your emotions lightens. The tale of the samurai's peace, self-control. In the lands of ancient Japan, there lived a young samurai named Hoshi, renowned for his skill in battle. But Hoshi was not just a warrior. He was also a student of the mind, always seeking to master his emotions. One day, a rival samurai insulted him in front of the emperor, hoping to provoke him into a duel. The insult was sharp and cutting, and Hoshi could feel the anger boiling in his chest, his hand instinctively moving to the hilt of his sword. But Hoshi remembered the teachings of his sensei, who had once told him, "The greatest battle is not fought with others but within ourselves." The true strength of a samurai lies not in his sword, but in his self-control. Hoshi took a deep breath and stepped back, his hand releasing the sword. He bowed to his rival, acknowledging the insult but choosing not to react in anger. The room fell silent, and the emperor nodded in approval. In that moment, Hoshi's restraint had earned him more honor than any duel ever could. Hoshi's story illustrates the power of self-control. In life, we will often face situations that provoke us, that make us want to react in anger or frustration. But true strength lies in controlling those impulses. The next time you feel yourself about to react to a situation emotionally, pause. Breathe. Remind yourself that self-control is a mark of true strength. By mastering your emotions, you gain the power to respond wisely, rather than react impulsively. The story of the Tibetan sage, acceptance. High in the snow-covered mountains of Tibet, there lived a sage named Sonam, known far and wide for his wisdom and inner peace. Pilgrims often traveled to seek his counsel, hoping to learn the secret to his calm demeanor. One day, a young man, full of frustration and bitterness, arrived at the sage's humble hut. He told Sonam of all the hardships in his life, losses, failures, and disappointments that had left him angry with the world. Sonam listened quietly, his face as serene as the mountain behind him. When the young man finished speaking, the sage smiled and pointed to the vast snow-covered peaks. "Do you see the snow that covers the mountains?" Sonam asked. "It is cold and relentless, and yet the mountain does not resist it. It accepts the snow as part of the cycle of nature, knowing that in time the sun will melt it away." The young man was puzzled. "But how can I accept the pain and hardship in my life?" he asked. Sonam replied, "Life brings both joy and sorrow, like the sun and the snow. If you resist your pain, it will only linger and grow heavier. But if you accept it without trying to fight it, you will find that the burden becomes lighter. Acceptance is not surrender." It is the wisdom of recognizing that everything good or bad has its place in the cycle of life. The young man left the sage, feeling a weight lift from his heart. He realized that by accepting his struggles, rather than constantly fighting against them, he could find peace. So Nam's story teaches us the power of acceptance. Life is full of ups and downs, and we often struggle against the difficult moments. But by accepting those moments, we allow ourselves to move through them more easily. The next time you face hardship or emotional pain, remind yourself of the Tibetan sage's wisdom. Accept that life is a cycle, and with acceptance, peace will follow. The fable of the Indian elephant, calm mind. In a small village in India, there was an elephant named Bala, who was known for her great size and strength. But despite her immense power, Bala was gentle and calm, even in the most chaotic situations. One day, while the village was celebrating a festival, a group of mischievous boys decided to test Bala's patience. They threw stones at her and tried to provoke her into anger, but Bala remained still, her eyes soft and calm. The villagers were amazed. How could such a powerful creature remain so peaceful in the face of such taunts? Bala's Mahout, the elephant keeper, explained the secret to Bala's calmness. When Bala was young, he said, I taught her to focus her mind, to stay grounded in the present moment. You see, an elephant's mind can be wild, just like ours, full of distractions and emotions. But with practice, Bala learned to keep her mind still, no matter what was happening around her. She does not let outside forces disturb her inner peace. The villagers were inspired by Bala's example. They realized that while we may not have the physical strength of an elephant, we too can train our minds to remain calm and still, even when life throws challenges our way. Bala the elephant teaches us that a calm mind is one of the most powerful tools we can cultivate. In moments of stress or emotional turmoil, we often react impulsively, letting outside events dictate our inner peace. But by focusing our minds and practicing calmness, we can remain grounded no matter what life throws at us. The next time you feel overwhelmed, take a deep breath and remember Bala's calm strength. Keep your mind still and you'll find that your emotions, like the stones thrown at Bala, will not disturb your peace. As we journey through these ancient tales, we see a common thread. The mastery of emotions is not about denying or suppressing them, but about understanding and guiding them. From the patience of the monk who weathered the storm, to the bravery of the Spartan who embraced his fear, each story reveals a timeless truth. Our emotions are a part of us, but they do not have to control us. So the next time you feel emotions rising within you, pause. Take a deep breath. Reflect on these stories. Let their wisdom guide you in finding peace amidst the chaos, courage in the face of fear, and acceptance of life's inevitable highs and lows. By embracing these lessons, we can become the masters of our emotions and lead more balanced, fulfilling lives. Remember, just like the sun that sets and rises, our emotions will come and go. But with the ancient wisdom of these tales, we have the tools to face them with strength and serenity. If you enjoyed these ancient stories and found peace in their wisdom, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Let's continue this journey together.